2017. I'm Keith War, and welcome to another episode of Homeless in Titusville. And today, I have guest name is David Cutts. David, glad you can spend a minute with us, let us know who you are. How old are you?
I'm 34.
And how long have you been on the streets?
Grand total, maybe 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah.
So this is really fresh for you.
Yeah.
So how did you end up on the streets? Like, did you own a home before? Were you renting an apartment?
I was renting an apartment.
What
lost a job and couldn't pay rent and got kicked out. And
well, where were you working? What kind of work were you doing?
I do construction. The last job I lost was right there across the river. I was working for a company at the Rocket Farm, but the reason I'm homeless is because I'm alcoholic. We'll be honest.
That is very honest.
Yeah.
Very honest, and I appreciate honesty.
Yeah.
You know, so tell me about that. Tell me about your struggles with the alcohol. Like how did the alcohol directly lead into your homelessness?
Well,
did you lose a job because you were,
No, I lost. I got laid off and drank. No. I've actually been really. I was functioning alcoholic, I guess you could call. I never drank at work or anything like that. But when I got off work, I would definitely have a cocktail or two. But I had 2.5 years sober, and had some life changes. Had a baby boy. He's 9 months now.
Yeah, tell me about your home life. Are you married? Do you have children?
I have a 9-month-old son. I was engaged, but me and his mother, I don't even know. She won't even tell me anymore, so I'm guessing we're not even engaged.
Okay. When's the last time you saw the mother of your child?
I actually stumbled into an AA meeting about 2 weeks ago, and she was in there, and I left. That was the last time I saw her. Other than talking to her, it's been a month and a half, maybe 2 months.
So were you guys alcoholics together? Like, what's the story there?
No, we have different addictions. I drink my buzz, and she uses a needle for hers.
Are we talking heroin, cocaine?
Yes.
Oh, both. Okay.
And Dilaudid is what she liked. Dilaudid was the number one she liked. She would go to heroin when she couldn't find the pills, and every once in a while she'd go get cocaine. But I never learned about this stuff till days after it happened, because she'd just disappear, because at the time I was clean.
Was she on this stuff while she was pregnant too?
Yeah, actually that's where a lot of this problem started. Was she relapsed at the beginning stages of pregnancy. She may have even relapsed before she was pregnant, to my knowledge, but she was using drugs through at least the entire first trimester, if not halfway into the second trimester. At least 4 months, probably maybe only 3, only the first trimester, but she could have been using drugs into the 4th month.
And did this affect your relationship? Were you guys fighting about this stuff?
Yeah.
Was this affecting your sobriety? I mean, or were you trying to get clean at that time?
At that time, I had 2.5 years sober. That's where my fall off was I became omnipotent, I guess you could say, where I thought that I could fix her, which is the number one thing they tell you in the program, is you can never fix anybody. But I was so in love with her, and she was carrying my firstborn child. Didn't even know if it was a boy or girl at the time. And I wanted to fix her. And I couldn't, and I ended up falling off the wagon over that for a little bit. And then did the 30, 60, 90 back in, back out.
Well, how did you do these 30, 60, 90? Are we talking about, did you go to a facility, or was this on your own?
It was all on my own. Once again, I was so proud and prideful that I thought I could do it on my own again. The first time I had to go to a facility, I went to a 6-month program, and that's how I got my real sobriety. And I thought that I knew everything when I relapsed, that I could just fix my own self, and it didn't work.
What's going on with your sobriety today?
Sobriety is threatened. I was in a program. Am I allowed to name program names?
Absolutely. You have the freedom to speak your mind here.
Okay. I I got into a program because I was homeless before I'm homeless now. I was homeless for about a month.
Okay.
And I was drinking. And I got into this program right over here called North Brevard Charities.
Is that on Hopkins?
That's the one on Hopkins, yeah.
Okay.
And was really treated pretty poorly there. But
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by treated pretty poorly? Like, what happened?
The first 2 weeks that I was there, I was on restriction. I wasn't allowed to leave, which is understandable. You know?
Right. They have to have rules.
Yeah.
You know.
But they made me sign waivers saying that I would volunteer my time, and by volunteering my time, I thought, oh, okay, you know, I might rake the yard or something like that, and do something around the community. No, 48 hours a week is what I had to do at the thrift shop and the truck that they drive and stuff, having to go pick up stuff and deliver stuff.
But didn't you kind of feel like that maybe was a fair trade-off? Were they feeding you? Were they clothing you?
They were clothing me. They were barely feeding me. I was supposed to get food, but
and you were staying in their place.
I was staying in their place, but their place is also $289 a week. And
so if you don't work for them, then you have to pay the fee.
No, even if you work for them, you got to pay the fee. It was volunteer time. You had to volunteer it. So that's where I was starting to get a little bit of resentment against it.
So if you're volunteering 48 hours a week, there's no way to hold down a job. At least I don't think there is, to be able to come up with the nearly $300 a week rent. So how does that work? Does it carry over? Do you owe them at the end? Mm-hmm. And then they send you a bill? Like,
yeah, you have 91 days. I'm sorry, 91 days. 91 days to pay them $3,100, $3,300, whatever it broke down to. It was over $3,000 for 91 days, and you had to.
And on top of that, you had to work 48 hours a week.
Well, once you got off restriction, you were allowed to go get a job, but the problem is I was only there for a month. I worked the 2 weeks that I was there, volunteering, and then once I was able to obtain a job, I got my job back at Jim's Concrete. It takes 2 weeks to get a paycheck. Everybody knows a paycheck gets held back.
Right.
If you, hopefully you don't get paid bi-weekly, because it could take upwards of a month to get a paycheck. Right. But they held back a week, and right before I got my paycheck, there was a situation with the house manager. I'm really not going to mention his name, but anybody who knows North Brevard Charities knows who he is. He came home drunk. Well, he actually disappeared for a week, but he came back drunk, and the director, sorry, brain fart, the director of the charities, Mr. Robinson, let him come back, and we were all actually happy to see him back. Glad he wasn't dead.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But he was drinking on premises, and I called Mr. Robinson. I said, Mr. Robinson, so and so's drinking in the house. And he says, well, if you see the beer, take it from him.
And do what with it?
Well, I drank it.
So was it kind of like a stressful situation for you that prompted you to drink it instead of pouring it down the sink yourself? Like why didn't you dispose of it a different way? Like, how come you drank it?
Because I'm an alcoholic. I had 30 days sober.
So you were looking for him to intervene, come down, do something, instead of you just...
I was expecting him to do his job.
Right.
That's his job, you know? I mean...
So you were at a crisis, you were at a moment that you needed help, and you're reaching out to him, and you're saying, hey, look, I'm not big enough, strong enough, it isn't my job, it isn't my place, I need your help, I need your direction, because that's what you're there for to begin with. And he
basically told me to go pound sand. He says, because they originally told me that if I was uncomfortable there, that I could go find a safe place to sleep. And as soon as I made the phone call...
That night,
yeah. I called, I found a place to go to, and I called the other guy, Steve, or no, I called my roommate who called Steve. There was so much going on that night. But my roommate, Joe, said, no, Steve actually says you can't leave, you have to stay here. And that's when I called Mr. Robinson back and said, I'm not comfortable here. There is literally beer in the house, and with everything that's going on between me and my son and all that stuff and the emotional wreckage that I am, because I'm a broken man. I really am. Like, when I think about my son, I fall to pieces, because I want nothing more than to be there and raise him, you know. But no, I took that beer and I drank it. And I got kicked out. Rob was
It's okay.
the house
Look,
manager.
you have the freedom of speech here on my channel. I don't edit. I don't restrict. I don't believe in that. I believe in people's right to free speech and free ideas.
Well, I also don't believe in throwing somebody under the bus for my own bad judgment. He made a bad judgment call, but I made an even worse judgment call by not disposing of that beer.
So was he thrown out of the program too for violating the rules of
No.
bringing alcohol into the facility?
No, he's still there. He's still the house manager. He's still running the whole thing. He's running it. He's the house manager.
I would think that would put the risk of the other's sobriety. I would think that would put them at risk too.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
look, it's not my place. I'm not an expert in this field.
Well, I am an expert in recovery. Well, who can be an expert in recovery? I'm an expert in alcoholism.
Okay.
I've lived recovery, and I know that there are a lot of dangerous things out there. And number one is you can't have a drunk house manager. When it comes to recovery, there's a few things you have to do on a daily basis. You have to help others. You have to go to meetings. You have to clean shop. And this house manager did none of that. And I knew his relapse was coming. I just had no idea that his relapse was going to be my relapse.
Yeah.
And I can't even blame him for it because it was my own relapse.
Right.
You know, it's not his fault that I
Right. You
drank
have no
it.
one to blame for your actions but yourself.
Yeah.
So what does this put your situation? How old is your son? Did you say?
He's what's today's date? The 19th.
The 19th. of
He's
February.
9 months and 7 days.
And when's the last time you have seen your son?
I saw him last week for my 4 hours at the Empower place.
And why are you saying 4 hours? What do you mean by 4 hours? Is he somewhere that restricts your time? Like, what's going on?
No, the judge told me I'm allowed 4 hours a week minimum to see him, and that's what I get. Is
So the
4
courts
hours
are
minimum.
involved?
The courts, oh yeah, the courts are involved. And this is another one of my arguments is that I get the bare minimum.
Well, tell me, how did the courts get involved in the first place? Was it because of your alcoholism? Was it because of her drug addiction? Was it a combination of both? Like, how did you even get the courts involved into this?
It started with her drug addiction.
Okay.
I called DCF because she started using again, and she scares me when she uses because people become demons when they start using mind or mood altering substances.
Right.
And I was afraid for the well-being of my son because I'd already shared she tried to kill him in the womb through the needle, and she'd already tried to put him up for adoption. So when she started getting high, I was so scared for his well-being that I almost instantly, I let her get high like 2 or 3 times.
Put him up for adoption without your approval, or what? Like behind your back?
Yeah,
What do you
I
mean?
got the paperwork behind my back. Like, I got served by a process server one day. They just showed up and said, "Oh, you've been served." Like, being served what? And I read the paperwork, and my heart dropped. She was putting my son up for adoption, and I actually didn't have the money at the time, so I had to borrow money to get a lawyer to appeal the process.
to stop that adoption.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So is DCF involved? Like, who else is involved? I imagine if the courts are involved.
Well, DCF is no longer involved. Once once you make the call to DCF, they hand it over to a different company called Empower. I'm dealing with Empower. They put me on a case plan. They put her on a case plan, and I'm actually farther behind in my case plan because of my relapse now.
So where does your son stay on a daily basis? Is he with family? Is he with the state? Is he with the county?
My mom.
So your mother
My mom
has
is
physical custody
Yeah,
of
my
him?
mom is the temporary custodian, as they call it. But he's been spending a lot more time over at Patricia's house, his mother's house, my son's mother's house. Where
And his mother, who's his mother?
Patricia Ann Harrell.
Okay,
Gorgeous,
Patricia Ann Harrell.
beautiful.
And how old is she?
She is 25.
And is she also homeless too?
No.
No, she's not homeless.
She's got a home. She's got to do things to keep the home, but she lives with her mother and her stepfather and grandma and ex-boyfriend and oldest son and.
So explain to me how it is that you have family involvement helping you with your son, your mom's taking him in. How come your family hasn't come in and let you stay with them? Like your father, your mother, brothers and sisters. I don't know what your situation is, but do you have brothers and sisters and parents that would take you in? And if not, why not?
Because apparently I have burned the bridges to the point to where, as they say it, that they don't understand alcoholism. They don't understand how I can't just not drink or just only have one when I do drink. So to the fact that, well, my mom understands addiction. She's an ex-addict, but...
And do they live here in Titusville? Are we talking a long drive?
My mom lives in Merritt Island. My dad lives 300 yards from right here.
Okay.
He lives here in Titusville.
Okay.
My father's the one who doesn't understand addiction. He's retired NASA manager, worked over there at the Rocker Farm for 33 years. He's stubborn. He's set in his ways. I love him to death for it, but he doesn't budge in any direction other than his mind state. And
so his way or the highway type thing.
Exactly. But in all honesty, I've gotten mad over both my father and my mother's ways, and I've said things to them, very mean things. My father's about to lose both of his legs due to a hunting accident when he was 18.
Wow.
He got shot with a 12 gauge right here and was supposed to lose his legs then, but he kept them. But now he's got all this lead in his heels from the bird shot, and they're about to take both of his legs.
Wow.
And I told him the other day when he wouldn't let me see my son that that's karma, that you're losing your legs.
Well, how is it that your ex-girlfriend, that she has a place to live, that her family's taking her in, but not taking the baby? Like, what kind of a situation does she have? Is it a stable environment where she's at?
Well, she has...
Is she with good people? Is she with bad people?
No, well, no. No, she's with bad people. She's with bad people, really bad people. She has 3 children, mine being the youngest.
Okay.
She has custody of none of them.
Okay.
But she is about to be reunited with my son, which scares the death out of me. She's about to be reunited with her eldest, but her middle son, she'll never have. His father has him, and I'm glad his father has him, because his father, this guy named Mark, he's a good man. He's a good man. He's a good father. I'm not saying that the eldest father is a bad guy. He's just got troubles too. Yeah. But he lives there with them.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of these twisted webs of situations.
That sounds like a very bizarre
situation. He gets to see my son more than I do.
Wow.
And
do you feel like your son is safe when he's over there visiting her house?
No.
And why do you feel he's not safe over there?
Do I just say it?
Absolutely. You have the freedom of speech here. I don't restrict
Then I'm going to
anybody.
look right in the camera and say, Glenn Sasko, you are a pedophile. And I don't have the proof, but someday, somehow, some way, the truth will come out and you will go to
And what makes you so sure that he's a pedophile? Why would you say that?
Because people don't make up certain stories. I mean, I've heard the fake stories about, oh, I got raped, I got molested. But when people go into absolute bone-chilling details on how situations happened, and hundreds of stories on situations, you really believe them. I'll tell you the one right now that just...
Who is this guy to her? Are we talking, is it an uncle? Stepfather.
Yeah.
And this guy's in her house, in her
it's
life
his
on a
house.
daily...
It's his house. She lives in his house. And at some point, there will be justice, because I have called DCF about him. I've called the sheriff's department. I've called everybody.
Do you feel safe when your son is over there?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't know if he's a homosexual pedophile or just a pedophile of little girls, but I know he started molesting my ex at the age of 10 and started raping her at the age of 12, is what she's been telling me. But like I said, the stories are just too real to be not true.
Too graphic, too detailed.
Too graphic. I mean, to the point to where I was telling you about the dinner that she told me one, and I couldn't even eat. Like, my meal had just came, and she told me, I don't know what set her off on that meal. But stories about how she would, like, you have the classes about sexual misconduct and stuff like that. She said she would keep her head down because she knew everybody in the classroom knew that she was a victim, and she didn't want to look.
So the embarrassment, the stigma of that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's the actual stories of really what happened. That I think the most graphic one was when I guess she said she was 12 or 13 years old, and Glenn, her stepfather, wanted to perform oral sex on her, and she didn't want him touching her. So somehow he twisted her mind to think it's okay that if he put saran wrap on her vagina, that it was okay to perform the act. And she said that twisted her more than anything. She says that's where it set her off. And, I mean, that's got to be where her drug addiction comes from.
Right,
right. I mean, I would want to escape from that life, too.
Yeah. Well, let's focus on you.
Okay.
So you're out here, you're on the streets, and you really haven't been homeless that long. So how are you adjusting to the streets? Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned that you thought you knew about homelessness that you didn't, that you're totally blown away by?
They're good people.
That they're good people.
They're great people, you know. I mean, they wouldn't literally give their shirt off of their back for you.
So they're normal, everyday people. They're just homeless.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think of homeless people as in this box. You know, they have this label on them. They're homeless. It's kind of like a biohazard label. They're somehow different than you and me.
Yeah.
But homelessness can happen to anybody. You had a nice job working at the Kennedy Space Center, and now you find yourself homeless. How do you feel you're gonna get out of this? How do you how and when is this gonna come to an end, that you're gonna finally be back into a place? Like, do you have a plan?
Oh yeah, I got a plan. Right now it's more of just waiting to find out if I will be reinstated across the river here. But
so are you working now? Do you have a job?
I do odd jobs right now. Right now I'm waiting on my tax return. I got a good tax return coming that will get me into an apartment. Thing is, it's probably going to be another week till I see that.
And what kind of skills do you have for a job? Like, have you been to school for anything? Do you have a degree? Do you have been in any trade schools?
I haven't been to trade schools, but I have experience, which I think is more important than any piece of paper, because hands-on experience is where it's at. I'm a lead carpenter, form carpenter for concrete. I'm a rod buster. Those are the hard work things that I do. I'm an operator. I operate forklifts, cranes, backhoes, excavators, front loaders, simple stuff like bobcats and things like that. I also have experience in machine shop. I worked for Knight Enterprises as a machinist, machining the SR-25, working mills and lathes and things like that. CNC, computer numeric control. I got skills. I think my biggest problem is I'm holding out for the $31 an hour job instead of taking the job at McDonald's for $7 an hour.
You have to feed yourself today. And what are you doing to feed yourself today? Do you receive food stamps? Do you get help from the state? You get any kind of welfare, any kind of assistance?
I do
churches?
I do go to churches. I do go to churches and get some of their food donations. I do not collect food stamps. I've not applied for them.
And why is that? You're at your lowest point. You need them the worst. These are what they're meant for. Why wouldn't you?
Because I don't think I'm going to be here this much longer. I think I really have it in my heart that the moment I apply for them, I'm going to get my job back, and it was a whole waste of time.
Well, if that's the case, run down there and apply today. I mean, you have to be prepared. You have to, worry about, keeping yourself healthy so that you can work, you can get out of this. Do you have any medical conditions? How's your health? Other than your alcoholism.
As far as even with my alcoholism, I'm healthy. I have no liver problems. I was told that I have asthma from the Army back when I applied for the Army back in 2001. But
so you didn't actually serve, but you tried to go in, and you had
okay.
I
went through the whole going going to MEPS, taking my ASFAB, and blew the ASFAB out of the water, scored in the top 90-something percentile, had 300 MOSs to choose from, and then went to MEPS, and they're like, oh, no, you got asthma. I said, no, I don't. They said, well, we're not going to take you.
Wow. So, do you have any secret or hidden talents? Can you play an instrument? Do you do magic tricks? Is there anything interesting or something special you think that people should know about you?
No, because I don't think this isn't. I mean, I was a DJ for 10 years. I was a turntablist. I've been a percussionist. I played the drums. I was infatuated with music for a while. But as far as like hidden talents, like no, I mean I can't make you disappear right now, or
Okay.
maybe I can once. But,
Okay.
but no.
No, okay. All right. Is there anything that you think the viewers should know about you or being homeless, or is there anything else you'd like to say, or is there something you'd like to say to somebody who maybe sees this that you haven't seen in a long time? They run across this video and they go, oh, wow, there is old Dave Cutts. I went to high school with this guy. Do you have any messages for anybody? Is there anybody that you're looking for you haven't seen in a while that maybe if they saw this, you have just any kind of message for, like I said, the viewer or somebody from your past?
Well, then I'll break that down.
Or your girlfriend.
That's about 6 questions in one. So
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, go ahead.
Don't mistreat the homeless. We're not bad.
Right.
We smell because we haven't had a shower in a couple days, and that's only because it's hard to find a place to shower when you got no money for a hotel room. Any one of my friends, this could happen to you.
Absolutely.
At any given point, you could be laid off from your job, have a landlord who is not appreciative and kicks you out on the street, and next thing you know, you're in some kind of bad situation. The folks that I've met out here on the streets are the kindest, nicest people I've ever met in my life. The moment that I get on my feet, I'm taking as many of them with me as I can. I don't know how much I can help them, but this one guy literally gave me this shirt off his own back. So I will literally, as soon as I get my apartment here in the next couple weeks, I will take them in for as long as I can and feed them and shower them, because they are good people. They are real good people. They just haven't shaved and haven't showered, and and that doesn't make you a bad.
Can't be helped.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad because some of them they got trades, they got skills. They're just, a lot of them have medical.
And most of them are dealing with drug and alcohol addiction problems, mental illness, that kind of mental illness. Wouldn't you agree?
More alcoholism than anything. The drug addicts seem to die.
Yeah.
We'll be honest about it.
Well, listen, I appreciate you spending a few minutes with us, letting us get to know you, and just like everyone out there, I guess little words of wisdom I will be ending my videos with now is may you all be just as blessed as you have blessed others, and until next time, thanks for watching.